Last Saturday, I had the opportunity to go into Jersey City and attend the ribbon cutting ceremony of one of my favorite new places called Dungeon Books. I made a small TikTok about these guys a little while ago, but if you haven't seen that, I'll bring you up to date on what Dungeon Books is. Dungeon Books is an independently owned shop in Jersey City that specializes in fantasy and sci-fi role-playing games and vintage books. I really love the selection they have here. They stock everything from vintage Dungeons & Dragons books to independent tabletop RPG publishers. They're also doing really good by the community by showcasing local artists and authors. I really love their selection of old school science fiction and fantasy books. They're stocked with some of my favorite authors like Asimov and Moorcock. If you're interested in science fiction novels or fantasy novels in any way, this is definitely a place that you should come down and check out. They also do really cool events in the store, like you can sign up to play Dungeons & Dragons on some nights or paint miniatures on other nights. I really like that independent shops like this are opening up because it allows the community to thrive and grow. The owners of the shop are named Panat and Carrie, and I've had the pleasure of talking to both of them. They're both super passionate about this project, and I really wish them the best. It's super hard to be a small business owner these days, and I'm sure any support that you give them will be greatly appreciated. So next time you're in Jersey City, or maybe you live in Jersey City, make sure to check out Dungeon Books. After the ribbon cutting ceremony was over, I decided to make my way across Manhattan and into Brooklyn so that I could get something to eat. I was really craving Vietnamese coffee, and I remembered last time I was in Brooklyn, I had gone to a place called Smorgasburg and gotten coffee from this place called 88 Vietnamese Coffee. Smorgasburg is like this big open-air market full of all of these different food vendors. It's kind of overwhelming at first, to be honest. There's so many different choices of food and drinks. They have everything from dumplings to tacos to Jamaican jerk chicken. It's a lot to deal with at first, but I decided I was feeling kind of cheesy, and by cheesy, I meant, well, I wanted something with cheese in it. So I did a few laps around the food vendors, and eventually I found this place that was serving grilled cheese. But it wasn't just any grilled cheese, it was artisanal grilled cheese. And the place was called Toastyland. And despite them having a mac and cheese toasty, I had to go with the rainbow toasty because, well, I don't know, it's rainbow. And look at this cheese pull. And yeah, I get it, it's a little gimmicky, but honestly, this was really good. The bread was buttery and the cheese was creamy. Would I get this again? Yeah, I would. It was good. But I think next time if I'm going to come here, I'm going to get the mac and cheese toasty because it's mac and cheese on a grilled cheese. I was still hungry after this and still feeling cheesy, so I decided to get some raclette. Yes, raclette. That is melted cheese, and I got it with potatoes. Seasoned potatoes, to be exact. They had even come down to the end of that last cheese wheel, so they put extra cheese on it for me. Let's take a moment to appreciate all of that cheese. After they served this to me, I needed to find a place immediately where I could sit down and devour it. And even though it was busy, I did eventually find somewhere I could sit and I could take videos of all of these cheese pulls. There's something about cheese and potatoes that is just so comforting. Raclette is typically served with potatoes, but you can also eat it with basically anything you want. I forgot to mention the place I got this at was called Raclette Street, and they did something on their menu called a raclette cheesesteak. That is an entire cheesesteak with raclette cheese on it. I'll put a link for all of the places I went to in the description of this video so you can check them out as well. These potatoes were a savory delight, but I have to be honest, I did burn the roof of my mouth, so be careful. Nah, seriously though, check this place out. It was super good. And after I was done eating it, I was thirsty. So I went over to 88 Vietnamese Coffee and got a salted cold foam Vietnamese iced coffee. Talk about a caffeine boost, and man, was it also delicious. At this point, I was feeling pretty full, but I was still pretty thirsty. It probably had something to do with all of the sodium I had just eaten. But I went to this Vermont maple lemonade stand, and they had a big selection of different maple-infused lemonades. I went with the guava lemonade. It was very sweet, very delicious, and I would definitely go back. So that was my Saturday. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I'll put a link to all of the places I went to in the description. That includes Dungeon Books. That includes 88 Vietnamese Coffee. See you next time.